Hi there, Malcolm here with my 131st Booktube video, and today I'm doing a book review on Poison by Chris Wooding. Now, I'm a big fan of Chris Wooding. I've liked everything I've read of his so far, so of course had to read this one. And it's actually been on our shelves for quite a while, so I'm quite surprised it's taken me this long to get to it. And this is a fantasy story following a girl called Poison, she chose the name herself, who goes on a quest to retrieve her lost baby sister who's been kidnapped by elves who left a changeling in her place. So not exactly an original storyline, I'm sure we've seen that one hundreds of times before in fantasy, but this is Chris Wooding's take on the adventure. And right off the bat I had an inkling this was a very different sort of fantasy story to normal, and that the world building is right there. You could see the world growing around the characters as they go through the motions of doing whatever it is they do. And we start off in some sort of swamp where they live in houses on stilts. Virtually everything that moved is fatal, poisonous and venomous. And poor Poison lives with her father and stepmother, and the two ladies of the house can't stand each other. And Poison, by her very nature, is very contrary. She will always do the exact opposite of anything it's asked. And indeed, when we first meet her, she is very slowly picking small mushrooms for some evening meal, having been asked to hurry up and pick some big mushrooms. So she's that sort of character. I thought she's great. Because then her sister's taken and she goes on the adventure to go and find her. So for the first time she leaves the swamp and we get to learn about the world that she's in. We never exactly find out just what this world is, where it is, and how it fits in with anywhere else, because it's told very much from her point of view. I mean, it's a third person telling, but the story follows Poison. So it only really reveals what she knows and has to find out herself. And because she doesn't know the land that she's in, we don't find out what the land is either. And like with a lot of these sort of stories, we do have a slight formulaic. She goes here, she does that, she goes here, there's a big bad that she has to get past or defeat in some capacity. The Bone Witch is a particularly visceral and vivid character and setting, and it's certainly a segment that increases the age bracket of readership for this book. However, after The Bone Witch, we then go into a slightly different style of story, and I'd say at this point the story really picks up. I mean, it's pretty much standard adventure type story up to that point. It's enjoyable, but nothing I hadn't really seen before. But beyond The Bone Witch, we then really have a cracking adventure where she goes into the land of the elves, and nothing is quite what it seems, because they're elves obviously. And we meet the Lady of Webs, another disturbing character. If this was ever made onto the screen, the imagery alone with this character would freak out most people, not just children. I mean, wow, she's a freaky character. Well, and then as we approach the end, there is a sort of similarity to what happened to my viewing. We recently watched Loki on Disney Plus. Really enjoyed it, but that last episode with the castle and the unnamed character who we actually learned to be as Kang felt very reminiscent of the end of Poison, where we have a very similar sort of castle and a very similar sort of encounter. And the fact that the two things happened very close chronologically in my own experience of having watched the show and then read this book with this particular setting, it was a bit bizarre. It's like I could really see the imagery that he's writing about, having just watched it on screen, as it were. Of course, two totally different shows, totally different characters, because there's no Kang in here, but instead, I won't give away spoilers, but the story takes a turn I'm not sure everyone will appreciate or like. I loved it. I thought it was very clever, and certainly isn't the standard ending for a fantasy story of this type. And so for me, it's another hit by Chris Wooding, and I'll say buy it. Already have, so that's all right then. My only complaint is that the book itself doesn't feel right. I'm not sure what the publishers did with it. I don't mean to sound demeaning or anything, but it feels like a self-published book. You know, when you order a self-published book, you get a very cheaply made book turn up. It feels cheaply made. The pages are very thick. The artwork on the front is pretty basic. I don't know, there's something about it that I didn't quite like. And certainly if I were to ever come across another copy of a better quality, then I might swap it out for that one. That's more aesthetics than anything else, but there we go. If the only bad thing you can say about a book is the fact that it's printed on thick pages, that's not a bad thing really. There we go. Poison. Have you read it? Did you like it? Or is there anything else by Chris Wooding that you've liked and think you should recommend to me? I mean, I've already read the Ketty J series, which I think is fantastic. Silver's fantastic as well. And I recently read Storm Thief, which was okay. The book itself is glorious, but the story was okay. comments below. And as usual, if you have nothing nice to say, then please keep it to yourself. Thank you, and until next time, see you later. I'm done. I did press record. That's good. I'm panicking at press record for that.